So our feature poet today is Amy Woolard. Super excited to have her reading for us today. She's an attorney working on civil rights and policy and legislation in Virginia. Her debut poetry collection, Neck of the Woods, received the Alice James Award and was published by Alice James Books 2 years ago. There's a copy in the back for sale. I highly recommend you get one. I'm sure she'll be happy to sign it. Her work has appeared in many magazines, including Smartish Pace, The New Yorker, The Paris Review, Poetry, Boston Review, Plowshare's Fence, and her essays and reporting have also appeared in numerous publications, including Slate, The Guardian, The Rumpus, and Virginia Quarterly Review. Amy has received fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts, the Vermont Studio Center, and the Breadloaf Writers Conference. And Amy reminded me today when we saw each other that we have met before. We met, I think it was like 2007 or 6 or 8. I think it was that long ago. So Amy was in Smartish Pace, and she read for us at the Whole Gallery in the H&H building for an issue release party. So that was fantastic. And she made the trip from Virginia then, and she's making the trip today from Charlottesville to read again. Please welcome Amy Woolard.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Stephen, David, the Hot L series. Thank you, Lynn, for being my reading partner, and all of you for being my reading partner. So wonderful to we're all in this together, right? I'm gonna read a few poems and see how it goes. This is one of the first couple of times, because the book came out in the pandemic. In April 2020, I highly recommend releasing a book in a global pandemic. This is called A Place Where There Isn't Any Trouble. So there's a lot of Wizard of Oz in this book, and the stories of my childhood in this book, and a lot of the South, rural South, where I grew up. Virginia is the South. A place where there isn't any trouble. Girl walks into a house and comes out running. Girl runs down a neighborhood street and a pickup rolls up beside her. Storm's coming. Aunt says, girl, you know there are monsters out there and you never know. Aunt says, sugar, this storm will run roughshod over the dirt you call childhood. Farm and storm spread so wide they each get a name. Whiskey rolls down her throat and lights the farm on fire. Aunt says, girl, there are monsters in this world you'll call friends in the next. Storms that'll write your name in the sky. Clouds that roll up and announce you like a choir. A fire don't chase, but it catches. The bells of the neighborhood church keep pealing on without you and do not call you home. Around here, ugly ain't a name for the way somebody looks, but how she talks. Or talks back. Rotten isn't just for apples, it's for how she acts. Girl walks into the woods and comes out a monster. Storm kicks up beside her. Mongrel paces just behind her footfall. There are farms in this world, but girl and mongrel are headed to the next. Around here, the strip where a field meets the woods is called the invitation. Stray piece of straw on her skirt like an unlit match. Stray light splintering through the branches like tangled hair. Oh, and she is lit with whiskey now. Now a fugue settles over the trees. Now a path undresses itself in front of her, fingers her forward. On the other side of an invitation, somebody's always cooking up something. Trouble is a dish. A prayer. Fill my plate with sugared apples. Fill my heart with discipline. Mongrel cases any new body might stand in her way. If you can't beat them, join them, the farm calls. If you can't join them, let them walk you to your truck. But when it's time to go, it's time to go, the bells peal. Girl peels off her Sunday skirt like a bell gone soft. An invitation is just another line to be crossed after all of it rinsed with a light, salted. Girl leaves the farm lit behind her, but takes the path with her when she goes, wherever she goes, pretty as you please, full of sugared breath to waste on the crook of the next one's neck. The dirt I could dish, thinks Mongrel. I'm the one she'll miss the most. Well, shoot. Somebody gotta be the one who stands burning on the porch, Dave's aunt. And somebody gotta be the one to get lost. This is called On the Most Terrifying Character in The Wizard of Oz. It's not the part where he tells you he has no heart. It's not when he tells you how much he wants one, how everything until just now has been frozen for him in time, how the trees all seem so sour and territorial, all while he hefts that gleaming axe. It's not his silver tongue, or how the tears fell like clockwork, then sawdust. It's not how he so casually walked off the job that day, knowing he would follow you anywhere. If only someone had thought to change the music just as you asked him to join you, a theremin or some low-octave piano. If only you hadn't run after so much disaster. It's one kind of weapon to be able to tell a girl a story. It's another kind to be able to walk her home. It's not even the way he tried to breathe those flowers deep into his tin lungs just so he could sleep beside you, dreaming of how his ticking heart would be the alarm that wakes you, how his creaking arms would be the ones to build you a house that stayed put. It's the way he looks at you, the way he thinks he's loved you since before you even first arrived here in front of him, hungry for apples that weren't even his to give you. Everyone assumes the animals all know each other. Geese these days really need to work on their V's. Tornadoes need to slow their roll and keep their cones tight. Don't get it twisted. The dogs are here to teach us how to lose something important. The bears know what's what. The ants just want it more than we do. The cats have reached consensus on refusing to pull us out of fires. It's that old grift. If you love someone, leave them be. So they've sent in the magpie to work us undercover. It's important to have someone on the inside. A wasp would be too obvious, nervously banging itself against each glazed window pane like an amateur. A roach would just bring up all the old nightmares, skittering across the floor like a cigarette cherry thrown out a car window onto the dark interstate. But a magpie is our ultimate prize, a thief who doesn't need us but chooses us anyway. And all the while, he's picked up on all our tells, tucked certain of our favorite words into his beak, smuggling them out for constructing his next nest until we're left with only our own small commands. Sit, stay, speak, until we lie down together. The magpie, without telling us in so many words, will be the one pulling our strings when we play favorites with the ones we know we cannot keep and the ones we try to replace. The collarless puppies falling all over each other like fountain water, tussling while we lie in wait for the moment they become motherless. So the book is arranged into sections that all start with a spoiler. Like, I'm really interested in the concept of spoilers and how people get really, you're like on one side or the other. People get really upset about spoilers. So I wanted to write the spoilers to my book and have them be a part of the book, so no one else could do it. Spoiler. I've likely told you too much already. What was found, a little routine metal, the feel of a man's watch on his wrist, the steel of it and the wrist in my hand, the cuss of evening light. Whiskey moves through me like it's checking me for ticks. My love rises, irises up in low oxygen. We made a skill of missing each other, going dark too early. The radio silence was bold. Real talk. When all you have is a breath, everything bends like a rib. The porch light lit and relit itself, developed unrequited feelings for the eaves. No one needs give me permission. First find tracks in the mud, then the boots that sank them. What's seen in a window is seen in a river just as well. I stationed myself, flat-backed in the crouch against the house, under the jargon of the sill. Truth be told, I was secreted beneath you, then there to the waterline in the time it takes your spoon of sugar to commute from cellar to cup. Sink all the spare keys and vanish before your double take turns. The urge of us comes late to the game, blends unfreaked into the stand of trees, takes its peak. Between you and me, there is no one thing that designed this, save whatever here or above made the fish that looks like sand when still. The moth was made to look like a leaf. The bark was supposed to sound like trouble, but in that ever, all I heard was closer, come closer. So I'm going to read some new poems to shame myself into remembering that I'm supposed to be writing a second book. So I'll do one more from the book and then a couple. I call them new, but they're not that new. This is called Things Go South. Always trust a red door on a black Camaro. Thighs sticking to the vinyl in the June sun, pinking up the place. Here, the apple don't fall from the tree. Here, whatever you find lying on the ground is yours. A scratch-off waiting to strike. The shade from a sidelong glance. You're looking at what happens when a body fights back 3 years after the fact. 3 years after the fact, the sweet morning stench of you sweating out last night's liquor, just by pushing my tongue against the porcelain crown glued in my mouth, like hitting a switch. Every town I leave on scholarship. Nothing looks better to me than seeing nothing for miles. I can fit everything I love into this trunk, into my own 2 arms, into my backhanded smile. And this gas station bathroom is more than just an American notion of the dirtiest place on earth. It's where I'll put on my face. I know how to wipe the scene clean, and then I'm gone, love, like I was never there. And even if it could hear you at these speeds, the back seat don't care a lick what you have to say. Sweetheart, I sympathize with the assassin in every story. Okay, so I guess I'm writing the second book. Before I became a lawyer, I worked in restaurants full-time for like 10, 12 years. In the 90s and in the 2000s. And it's one of the hardest lives. You know, you don't have health insurance, cash business, etc. But it kind of made me who I am. So I wanted to write a book paying homage to that. So, and thinking about precarious work in general. So right now it's called Wage. I'm going to read the title. Wage. One by one, as they burned out, we triaged the light bulbs to priority slots around the house. The bedroom still held a candle for us. The walls stayed rented white. I can take almost anything at this point. The waking mints of morning, which is afternoon, which is like someone holding tightly your hand while you're wearing a ring. The kitchen litigates our unreturned dishes. The birds have not yet learned to mimic our phones, but coolly master car alarms and the dog's longing. Baby, paradise will be a house without linoleum floors, edges puckered up like an open carton of milk, its origami lip. All I need to know is the time of day and the names of the regulars. Not their names, but what they drank. Old-fashioned, car bomb, purple rain, dirty sky. Showing up is a full-time job where the paycheck is a paper ghost tendering the wrong kind of zeros. It was the year of the drought. Our stacked cash never laid flat. We pulled one bright 20 and kept it rolled like a ruin. A season fleshed out by what fell, ice into a glass, a dress onto a floor, a girl into a grind. Once, a boy off a fourth-story roof. What you get is to be changed. Nothing from the sky for weeks, and then I poured everyone and myself a drink. All of us were taken with leaving town, by which I mean we were taken with not leaving. The town took us fact we'd be back. It'd all be here waiting to step into, like a dress or a downpour, the house, the glass, the time of day. Even the boy, come back as a bird, thin beak tilting at every wind-felled scrap. What was that? What was that? The night downtown blacked out, we walked out of the bars, unbanked, as if it were the first snow, arms raised to catch what on our skin. I felt it melt into me anyway. I've trained my wrists to carry more than I can carry. A malfunction of lightning bugs, the tight fists of peonies demanding their rights, the delinquent quiet, the lip-bitten memory of when we first learned to lie, brick by brick. What was the time? That hour slipping itself up under my shirt. I can take anything. Our currency is we stood outside of everyone else. I open all the windows and doors because I do, in fact, want to air condition the whole neighborhood. I want to bring it all down a dozen degrees until even the churches of our enfolded hands are cooled and congregationless and still possible. My sleep put each next day on layaway until the once too many. I came back and you did not. How could I even touch it? Your love, like an orange wedge, breaking apart in my mouth. The sky touches the birds, and the birds keep their distance, faking thirst and emergency. Why, it's no stretch for us to see how anybody, in the right light, surely will confess to something they didn't do. If by you mean we. The apples are early this year, and the grass is late. The taxi is early, and the past is late. The fist is late. The tooth, like the news of the tooth, broke both early and late. I'm telling you, this all really happened. I had a love I ripped through like it was bread. I had bread and cheese, apples and sugar on my every plate. A sugar rose on my every cake. A love like a water ring soaked into the grain of my kitchen table. The sugar, I don't need it refinished. The way it happened, I was my own witness. When we was together, everything was so grand. I love you like the 52 bones of the feet, the 54 of the hands, the hell and the fast foam from a high water wave smoothing itself toward me like a flu passed through a kiss. I couldn't keep anything down. So happened it was my bread and butter for years to turn the tables of this town. I didn't know a morning that wasn't the end of my night. I came in through your basement bedroom window. I brought a love like two forkless fists stuffed with lemon cake. A love like the house spider that crawls in and then out of your open mouth during sleep, leaving only your waking tongue and its hustled memory of caught snowflakes from an early flurry. I'm still crushed by the death of Prince all these years later. I wore Prince boots tonight in homage. And then I'm wrapping with this poem because yesterday or the day before, I live in a really old house that is not insulated in Charlottesville in an old neighborhood. And sometimes it's like living outside, but it's inside. And I came home and there was not one but two birds in my house, just chilling, hanging out. I just went in one room, like I opened a window, went in another room, shut the door, and came out an hour later and they were gone. So that's my life in the old house. So that plus Prince equals last poem titled Electric Word Life. I had a skirt I loved so much, I only wore it to sleep. What I mean is, I only wore it to wake. I mean the morning and me, like a torn over easy egg, admix of erasure and astonishment and salt, peeling off the dream in long strips of masking tape from the fact of the window trim. The skirt peeling off from the fact of our hands. Is astonishment even the way to say the membrane between us? Is it loose in me like a bird who makes a classic mistake and traps itself inside, napping the house like a county fair? Love, I opened every window and door to give it the best chance to leave. What I mean is, the first time we clocked each other, it was, I knew, for life. The way a dog yawns with his whole body. And once, when I asked, you said it felt like a shoal, like 1,000 turnings, but exactly all at once. And I couldn't help but remember the TV reporter who began weeping on air in the middle of his sentence, unsheltered by his own breaking news. Thank you all so much.
Amy, that was wonderful. So that's it. Thanks for coming, everybody.